snap. Gillen the hold. The kick, no good! On a day where special teams failed the Saints time and again, a special teams play decides it in New York.
That is tremendous, Bryan Bresee.
I don't even know what to say on this one today. You played arguably the worst team in football. You played against unarguably the worst offense in the NFL. And I mean, you just saw the play. You needed Bryan Bresee to make just an unbelievable final boss Superman type play to bail you out of a, granted makes the kick. And if you don't block it, God knows making that kick all day long. You go into overtime, and I have zero confidence this team was going to pull that game out in overtime. It was very frustrating, very ugly game in the brand of football. Both teams really, neither team really played well consistently. They both offensively had one or two drives where they did something. Defensively, they played pretty decently until those one or two drives by the other team. But even then, it was just a mistake-filled game. What I'm really disappointed in, look, this is where the weirdness comes in for me on our coaching staff. I don't know what went on during the week, but really seemed like you had a team. I mean, I hate to say not prepared to play, but that's at times that's what it looked like, especially in the offensive line. That just blew my mind all game, how terrible we were, especially in the interior where we just got everybody back and supposedly healthy. Makes me wonder what went on there, because that was a big part of our problem, and I just don't understand it. Now, they're showing replays, and it was all five of them, but it was especially in the middle. Just trying to run a play, and all of a sudden guys coming through unchecked, untouched, like nobody even noticed Thibodeau or one of those young defensive linemen that they had no idea what they were going to get out of that stacked up all those TFLs or whoever, just out of nowhere making play after play, going, what in the heck is going on? I also think a big part of our problem was the first half. I think a big part of our problem in the first half was our head coach, which I hate to say, but he finally got to somewhere where I was yelling at the TV, because despite all the grief I gave Northern during the week about all his points why Giants were going to win this game, he was right in the sense that, look, that's a tough place to go on a road and play, even if they haven't won a game all year. And you're going to roll into some conditions that makes it tough to play the game there. And while they're a bad team, we are still a seriously flawed team. So there was no guarantees there. You're going to have to roll in and play hard, which we did. You're going to have to play mistake-free football, which we didn't. Make life easy if you don't turn the ball over, which we kind of did, but it was almost a de facto punt. And realistically, this is where my gripe was coming in with Rizzy. He refused to play field position game. A game where, look, that offense, they have 15.3 points a game. They really can't throw it, despite having Malik Neighbors. Look at Drew Lock. And most of his big completions today, let's be honest, were receivers bailing him out. There's just no reason to and Dayball gives you a gift on his first drive, going for it on fourth down instead of playing field position, because his defense is a better part of his team, and trying to pin you back and make you drive the field. But then you turn around and give it right back when you drive. So he gives you the best field position you had in the first half. We'll talk about that in a second. On their 49, and all you can manage to do is a long field goal attempt, which was just dumb. Punt the damn ball and play field position. But Rizzy was like so over-aggressive, yelling, screaming man on the sideline, which normally I like the last couple of games getting on guys. But it's almost like he took himself out of the game. Man, what are you thinking about? Our starting field position in the first half was our 16, their 49, our 2, which was the only miraculously enough, that's the best drive we had all day because we went 98 and Kendry, thank God for Kendry Miller, punched it in for the touchdown. Then our 28, our 39, our 5, our 20, our 16. They got to start all their drives. Our 48, their 43, their 32, their 49, our 48, their 49, their 37. They were starting in the middle of the field or in a couple of cases, basically at the 50. And we were starting backed up in our territory the whole first half. We had a 7-3 lead at first half on the basis of a 98-yard touchdown drive. We had 154 total yards. They had 86. We threw for 109. They threw for 46. We ran for 45. They were balanced because they only ran for 40. We were getting average yards 4 yards per play in the first half. They were getting 3. Only had 2 penalties, and both of the 2 that we committed were on special teams. They had 6. Time of possession, we had it for 18 minutes, 20 seconds. They had it for 11 minutes, 40 seconds. Statistically, if you could reverse the field position statistically, what you were doing, you're going to put this game away in the first half. And we'd have missed the Bryan Bresee great field goal block at the end of the game to win it for us, which was exciting and awesome. I'd much prefer to have a 2 or 3 score lead, other than the fact we had some bad decisions from coaching, some bad juju, whatever was going on in the offensive line that was killing ourselves. But I got on the bad decision kick just on the opening kickoff when Jamal Williams, why is he back there returning kicks, by the way, muffs the opening kickoff. That's how we managed to start on the 16. We can't even get to the 20. 53-yard field goal attempt by Groupie. I get it. He was perfect from plus 50. But these are some serious conditions. Just let Hayball pin him back and let that not very good offense have to move the ball down the field on you. Because I just don't think, other than the 1 or 2 drives they had, they were 3 and out an awful lot today. The problem was the 3 and outs were on our side of the field instead of theirs, where we could take advantage of it. Even, especially the way we were playing on offense, we needed all the advantage we could get. Last play of the first quarter, I got to pick on Derek Carr here. Trying to run a middle screen to tight end, which I'm still curious about that play call because they were sending so much pressure up the middle. I don't think I want to try to throw a screen pass there. But it was obviously covered up because Juwan Johnson caught it and almost got killed immediately for negative yardage. Just throw the ball on the ground. Just incomplete. Let's move on to the next play. Hopefully a better play call will come in from the sideline. Again, Jamal Williams. I'm done with him. Personal foul on hit out of bounds on a punt return. Then we're going to run a fake punt with him, which probably just about any other running back we have either on our active roster or the practice squad probably would have picked up those 3 yards because that play was there for a second. Unfortunately, Jamal Williams spent too much of that 1 second running in place, it seemed like, and not getting anywhere and coming up a yard short. And even then, just punt the ball, play field position. And my favorite one, and so let's pick on Clint Kubiak. What on earth did he dream up a play where we're going to try to block Brian Burns with 2 tight ends? Because we take a strip sack on that play. Lucky Carr falls on the ball, and it isn't an actual turnover right there, which would have put him on our side of the 15. Had him let him start off on another drive. So I was glad to see in the second half, at least we kind of came to our senses. But unfortunately, at that point, we had them believing they could win the game. And damn if they didn't almost do it. So from whatever went on in the week, that as unprepared as we looked, especially on the offensive line, to decisions made during the game, what players were doing in the game, and this is just a snapshot. There were more that I didn't write down, and they were still. It got better in the second half, thank God. Because if we'd have kept doing that in the second half, we would have lost the game. There would have been no Brazil heroics. But even then, some of our problems that we thought we had kind of fixed and did well in the first half started popping up in the second half. More penalties, missed tackles started coming in. So I'm just extremely disappointed on so many levels in winning a football game. Winning a football game in a tough environment. You come out with a win, but you just scratching your head going, if we'd have played like this in any of our 3 previous games, all 3 of those teams would have blown us out the building. And it's like, if you could have just put the effort and consistency in you had in those 3 games, this is a no-brainer. You're going to win this game without too much problem. So, ugly, ugly game. I really want to feel good about it. It's very hard not to. Thank you, and try to end my diatribe really on a positive note. Because let's start with Bresee. My God, he was a beast today. He played very, very well. They couldn't handle him, and thank God for that because he was probably likely the difference in the game. Props to Kendre Miller. Stay healthy, my man. Please stay healthy because you brought an extra dynamic to the table. I don't know why we went away from him when we did. There was a stretch where he really wasn't on the field doing much. Never heard an explanation. Kind of thought he was in a little rhythm and doing well. And maybe we kind of feeding the ball. We were having trouble getting Alvin in space, but hell, he was moving piles at least. So, and then when we bring him back in was the late in the fourth quarter, the toss play for I don't know. I think he lost a yard or 2 on that. Just going, no, let him bang it up in there and see if he can move a pile and pick up the yard and the first down we desperately needed to pick up to hopefully run the remaining time off the clock. Stuff like that all game long. Our tight ends, I thought, out and MVS. Let me start with him. Caught some balls today. Looked good. 4 catches for 52, something like that. Almost like the last few. I mean, he hit big play touchdowns for us in every game so far, but kind of got the feeling in this one, A, the wind and all was going to be a little tough to do that. And B, the Giants were like, we're not letting that happen. We're going to make you have to run some shorter routes and catch the ball. Thought he did a good job with that. Like to see him get dialed up a few more on those. Hopefully that'll be coming. Don't know who will be throwing him the ball, but I'd see a little more of that. It was doing a good job on the offense on his part, running a more complete game instead of just those deeper routes that we've been primarily trying to use him on, and eventually got taken away during games, which is why all of a sudden we can't get him the ball anymore. Tight ends, I thought, picked up the slack for a while in the passing game. Up until a point, our passing game just went away, and I think part of that was protection issues because we couldn't run the ball anymore. Part of it was there was a few times I felt like Carr was holding the ball too long, and part of it was there were times where the people he was throwing the ball to weren't exactly helping him out with, to say getting open enough, or in some cases they were open enough and he struggled to get him the ball. So it was kind of a lot of that going on after that stretch we had in the middle of the game where we were hitting MVS, we were hitting the tight ends, we were, Carr was stacking up some pretty efficient passing numbers, and we were still moving the ball. Kind of at that time, we were still able to run the ball, so it was like a balance hand in hand that just went away, and very damn disappointing. And very damn disappointing. Clint Kubiak couldn't dial something up to figure it out and go, look, bro, we need a yard right now and pick up this first down, and toss pitch for -1 or 2, whatever it was. So that's all I got on this one. It's just talk me into it. It did that, hoping somebody in here will say it wasn't as bad as what I saw. And I'll be surprised if anybody's going to come up with that. Oh, that must have been way pregame stuff there. If you were talking about this before the game, hell yeah, because Giants are an awful team. If you'd asked me during the game when we were playing like total crap and trying to give them the game, no, not so much. I never want to say an injury is a good thing at all. Injuries are injuries, and that's just bad karma all the way around. But um, I'm interested to see how the young quarterback thing is going to play out because last I saw on Twitter earlier, Rizzi's post game press conference, it was left hand, and he thought they might have had him in concussion protocol also, but he wasn't sure what was going on with that. After the game, the only thing I saw in the tweets were they seem to think he's got a broken left hand. So again, starting to get tight ends and MVS a little more involved in the offense overall in the passing game. Just we'll see if they're going to go with Hayner or Rattler or both or what they're going to do. But it kind of sounds like Carr won't be around for a while. He's terrible. I knew that going in. But, yeah, I mean, he is what he is. He's a hugely athletic guy. I kind of look at him and go, well, if they ever cut him and you want to maybe try him for the new Taysom role, he may or may not fit. It's not quite the physical runner, but that's what it kind of feels like when you watch him play. He's a poor man's Taysom Hill that just isn't as good. But yet that's try. Look, he and they were trying because I swear, like the incredible catch Neighbors made to get the ball into one before Tracy's possible touchdown that they only showed one review, and I'm not sure why they buzzed it in from New York and said, "Hey, that's a touchdown," but maybe they had an angle that clearly showed him in the end zone. But the play before that, the announcers are like, "Oh, back shoulder throw, that's what you have to do," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, I think that's how Drew Lock normally throws deep balls, and you just hope the defensive back overruns it a little bit so Neighbors can turn around and make the basket catch at his knees and then turn around and get to the 1 yard line." So, I mean, he was a big reason why I was thinking, yeah, you should not have a problem winning this game. Uh, Reminder that we do still have the 12% discount going on the hoodies, long sleeve, and mugs till 2 p.m. tomorrow. That's Central Time. Yeah, I've seen some ugly ones. I'm hard pressed right now to come up with one where we needed it to be that ugly to give the other team a chance to win. I don't know if I can remember too many of those, but that's definitely what it was today, and it's just not. When you're talking about trying to change the culture and move stuff around, even with guys and coaches, players and coaches, I should say, both who may or may not be here next year, you don't want to go through these type games. The plus side is you did find a way to win it, and I can say this honestly. 14-11 with 4 minutes left to go or 3 minutes, whatever it was, when we didn't pick up the first down after Carr got hurt and we're punting. DA still a coach. It's a freaking loss. We've lost again. Put it in the books. Jump on your favorite betting app and put all your money on the Giants at that point because you know it's going to happen. So I'm being a little hard on Rizzi and the coaching staff, but you got to let them give that going. We could have folded the tents right there because God knows that's what we normally did under DA in that situation, and we found a way to hold on and make another thing we could never do in those one score late situations with DA. Somebody make a big play to win the game. And again, Bresee, the final boss, superhero type play on that to bail us out. There you go. Yes, it was, and badly needed. Just on many levels, whatever went on that led us to do this, maybe, ending on a high note like that will kind of clear I don't know. I just don't want to see that horrendously bad play in many areas we saw for a lot of this game. I know of 3 for sure, one other close. Um, one that actually ended up in a completion. I think it was DeMario went diving in and I I still don't know how the ball didn't even touch him and it got to, I think, Neighbors. Maybe that might have been his first catch of the good day. Um, so yeah, that was, and we had, uh, I didn't write it down. I think 12, 11, 12. We had double digits in pass defended. 6 of them were at the line of scrimmage. The rest of them were all, in coverage. So yeah, we were right there all game long. And the funny thing is, the actual interception we got, it looked like Locke was throwing it to the Mario Davis. Like that was the intended receiver all the way. Cause I don't even remember seeing anybody near him. And it, basically hit him in the chest. So yeah, he can run. We knew that he was athletic and he did hurt us in that a little bit, but he didn't absolutely kill us. It's a couple of good step ups he had where, because he can run a little bit, I think that kind of allows a guy to slide open where he'd stepped up or was about ready to run and he just threw a couple passes that were really nice passes to pick up yardage. But for the most part, yeah, it was typical Drew Lock. Yeah, he's been around in the league a while, but he never really stuck anywhere for a reason. After today, I'd have to agree with that statement. Before, like I said, a seriously flawed team. They're legitimately a bad team. Um, but man, you just can't deny how awful we look today, and just try to shrug it off, going, no, I just can't do it. Yeah, and you you're gonna find out a lot about yourself the next 2 weeks because you got the Commanders coming off a bye week, and play like you did today. Whew, it's gonna be ugly. Then you go to Green Bay on a Monday night game. Same thing. So better get your crap together real quick, Saints. Because you can't do, hell. We've got the Raiders after that. You play like you played today. I don't even know if you can beat the Raiders because I think they are better than the Giants, and you barely won that game today. He was 0 for 7 for sure. And I'm pretty sure he was 0 for 8. I think he missed his next one after that because announcers were talking about the last time in the NFL. And in fact, the last 0 for 7 guy, they were talking about the Denver wide receiver that played quarterback during the COVID year. That was against us. That's when we went up there to Mile High and beat Denver. I remember that vividly. And I was like, and so when they said that, I was like, yeah, he kind of does look like the Denver wide receiver that had to play quarterback that year against us. And, a wide receiver, yeah, you understand. But this guy's, yeesh. And not only that, though, they said his name, like he did something good. And I think, I'm trying to remember. I wish I'd have wrote that one down. And it might have been the play. He might have had the initial basically tackle push out of bounds. On the Jamal Williams late hit out of bounds on punt return. I think it was Foskey, now that you say that, which maybe that was Williams' excuse. He saw Foskey run it there, assumed he was going to miss the tackle, and the guy was going to keep running up the sideline. I don't know, but I'm thinking about it. I'm going to have to leave myself a note. I got to go watch that on replay and see if that was Foskey, but I think that was that play. No, I don't see any way. The only way we win in overtime, I think, is if they gift us another turnover with field position behind it. Preferably one where our, interception or strip sack fumble or something where somebody with a defense can score with it. Outside of that, especially we were gonna have Hayner coming in to run the offense. What the Giants were gonna do there. They're just gonna stack the box. I mean, they were kind of doing that a lot today. I saw a lot of 5-man fronts, which we hadn't seen those in a while. Plus bringing extra guys in the gap. McFadden, Okirike didn't play. It'd have been worse if their best linebacker would have been on the field today. And not to mention Dexter Lawrence is out for the year, their best interior lineman. So Of course, missing those guys, one of the reasons why they are struggling and playing so bad right now. But um, I don't see how we'd have done it barring some miraculous play. Now, who knows? They are the Giants, and crap like this happens to them all year long. So even if they make the field goal, there's a chance they kick off to us, and instead of kicking it to Jamal Williams, they kick it to somebody with return ability like Kendre Miller, and he houses the kick return up to win the game. I think that might have been our only chance. Yeah. And Rizzy did talk about it in the post game and said, yeah, I see him do that all the time at practice. I'm like, really? All the time in practice? He's just jumping over our linemen and because seems like if he was doing it all the time in practice, we'd see it a little more during games. But I guess maybe that just might be one they keep in their back pocket for situations like this when it's like, because I didn't even remember him being on the kick block team, but he could be as athletic as he is. Because let's talk about, we've been talking about what a great play is. 300, 6'4", 6'5", 305, 310, whatever he is, just not only leaping over everything, no leverage, no nothing, just standing high jump basically over the offensive lineman. And he even said this because I noticed he kind of like went down and then he lunged up and he got his fingertips on it to block it. But he saw after the game, he said, yeah, when he landed, his knees kind of buckled. So he couldn't really, I guess, like jump up again like he was expecting or come straight in with his hands up. So he's like, I just stuck my hand up and got a piece of it, knocked it away. And I'm like, man, dude, that is some unbelievable crap. I can't, I remember and have seen guys do that. I think we lost the game in the dome. I was at that sucker on an extra point. I got returned for 2 the other way, and we lost Seattle maybe or Denver or somebody like that. But basically the same thing. But it was a defensive back there that just kind of timed it right, leapt over everybody and blocked the ball. I've never seen a defensive lineman do that I can think of, ever. In the 53 years of watching football, I cannot remember a 300 and something pound D lineman just boop. Yeah, and I mean, you could do that 100 times and get it maybe only once. It just, and it helps. Against the Giants, you could probably do it once and it would work every time. But, you know, it's still just an unbelievable what he did. Even if he'd have missed the ball completely, we'd also been going, holy shit, look at that, And look, he is what he is. He's an athletic guy. That's why he can rush the passer. That's why he can do stuff like that. Which I'm happy if he can. He's on pace. Somebody said for, I think right now, 10.5 sacks on the season. I think he got to 7.5 after today. Look, from the interior, that's playing ball. However, he was better on the run today, I guess. I don't really know. He didn't have any tackles in the running game, but I didn't necessarily see him getting blown up with guys going by him for long yardage. Not that I can remember. So he's got to improve there. He has to. If not, we have to improve the whole defensive line around him, and he's going to be the come in specialized pass rusher from the interior type guy, which if he gets 10, 11, 12 sacks a year, you don't mind. But, I'd prefer to see him round his game out completely and be taking the majority of the snaps. And look, understand what I'm about ready to say because I'm in no way, shape, or form comparing him to or telling you that he eventually will be. But as athletic and big as he is, if he could get some semblance of stopping the run where he's almost a liability to us at times in the running game. But get to even where he could just hold the zone and not get gashed with people running right in his gaps. And you're talking about being able to do some of the stuff in the pass rush, stopping the run and not being a liability, but being on the field to help in the pass rush, a la like Chris Jones, Aaron Donald, those guys could freaking do from the interior. one of the reasons why they had high sack totals, I always thought, was because they could stop the run. They weren't, so they were on the field as much as, Kansas City and the Rams could put them out there. So increased snaps, increased opportunities, obviously. I actually thought it was worse than the Philly game for this reason. There was no Jalen Carter or Josh Sweat or any of that going on in the other side. Well, maybe Sweat because Burns and Thibodeau pretty good from the edge, but it was just the interior. Philly's got that. You expect Philly to be able to do that. I mean, I hate to say a bunch of no-name defensive linemen, but a bunch of no-name defensive linemen kicked our offensive line's ass, and that's. I mean, it's bad enough when Philly does it, or when the Rams do it, because the Rams collectively have assembled a good young defensive line. But when these guys do it like they did, it's just ugly. I mean, I can't think of a worse game our offensive line had than today. Seriously, if this comes against anybody else, we probably get shut out and lose all three of our quarterbacks at some point during the game. No, well, I would have to rewatch, but I think there was a couple of times he wanted to run more coming out of there and couldn't get out on some of those 3 and out stops we got on him. There was one they were kind of like the one he ran sideways on and didn't make the first down marker. And Moose Johnson is like, this is what made me think of him being a poor man Taysom Hill. He said, well, he could have went forward there and up and had a chance to pick up the first down. And I'm like, if he'd have kept going forward there, we had DeMario and somebody else coming up. I'm like, he ain't Taysom Hill. I don't know if he's going to break both those tackles and pick up 4 more yards. So they kind of had him moving sideways at times. One of the things I think would help if we were actually more athletic and we had this is my bemoaning the fact that Willie Gay apparently hasn't worked out like we thought he would. Somebody that could operate sideline to sidelines, because in a couple of those, he did go sideways like he did on that one play where we stopped him short and then ends up turning the corner. I feel like we may be the only NFL defense that a quarterback could basically start upfield, hit a 90 towards the sideline, take another 90 to get up the sideline and pick up a first down. Where just about anybody else would have that one guy that as soon as he turned and started running towards the sideline, he'd get his head handed to him. And Willie Gay was supposed to be that guy. I saw him on the sideline because I saw him at one point. I think it might have been on the blocked field goal running by Rizzi. I saw number 6. I haven't seen him on the field lately. I definitely haven't seen him making any plays or doing anything. And you want to handle running quarterbacks in this league, you need somebody, whether it's a linebacker or somebody in the secondary, where even if you can't spy them every play, that they can come running up and operate sideline to sideline with enough speed and be able to tackle to bring them down. I just don't think we have that guy anywhere in our roster. And I think everybody knows it. Did you see the one-handed catch by Foster Moreau? You, my friend, don't understand that our tight ends are better than you keep telling me they're not. Yeah, that was bad ugly. And just unexplained. I go back to the core passage of Juwan Johnson. Why would you throw that ball where you could catch it? The best outcome of that was he catches it and only gets hit. I think he lost 3 or 4 on that play. Here's another one. And one of them was Demario Davis was in the area, but on the 2-point conversion, ball gets tipped. I don't remember who was around, but you had 2 or 3 players around Malik Neighbors who all of a sudden look like they're going for the ball, like they want to pick it or something. He ends up winding up in his hands. And then we had at least two guys that could have just grabbed him and drug him to the ground because ball's tipped. You can crush that guy now. There's no defensive holding. There's nothing. It's like and they didn't even touch him. And what amazes me earlier in the game on a tip pass, DeMario did take somebody out and just throw the guy to the ground, going, you're not gonna have a chance to catch this. That ball got tipped to the line. It's not like our guys, they're all rookies that have never played the game before. And like we did something similar early in the game and they all should know, but I just can't understand how you have two guys that close to him and no, I mean, grab his hands and play patty cake with him. I don't care, but just don't let him do what he did. And, you know, it's stuff we know better. Just kept popping up all over the field. I have no clue. Coming off a bye week, there's no telling what their health situation is over there. We'll find out during the week. Um, yeah, and oddly enough, or I guess maybe he wanted Locke to get booed by the fans because oddly enough, when DeVito ran back and Locke went back out, Locke got booed. Maybe that was just Dayball trying to piss his fan base off even more. I don't know, but um, I thought you might see DeVito just play that because Locke was like Northern said, 0 for 7 for sure, 0 for 8, possibly 0 for 9. Doesn't matter. I'm thinking even when he started completing passes, they were still struggling not moving the ball. And I kept waiting for the Tommy Cutlets to come in. And then when that happened, I was like, all right, that's it. He's had enough of Locke. And then Locke's in the next play. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't get that one iota either. But I'm not really a Giants fan, but from what I understand, Dayball does a lot of head scratching stuff over there. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting conversation to have during the week. Look, I get it. Um, I'm trying to win a ball game, man. Uh, but still, yeah, just not in a week 14 game for the situation you were in. I'd have preferred if you just went in and slid. That way the clock would have kept running too. And let's see if we can pick it up on the next play. But the real, the effort. I don't want to bang him on the effort, the heart, and look, trying to show some leadership or doing whatever. But at the same time, yeah, I get your point. You just can't put yourself at risk like that. Especially once you get knocked out the game, you put us in the situation where this could be the last game we have a chance to win the rest of the year, but we may not be able to do it. Part of the reason is all of a sudden we're just throwing Hainer out there in a high pressure spot going, good luck, kid. Oh, by the way, we haven't been able to run the ball this whole half. So, yeah, but unlike them, he can actually bring pressure, sack quarterbacks, make big plays. And actually, Davenport could probably do it if he could just stay healthy. Yeah. Um, and looking into the future of what's going on, it's like everybody's kicking around, oh, the Saints are going to have to do this, they're going to have to do that, which I don't think anybody's particularly wrong. I think one of the things this game showed us that I'm not happy about is look, we know our veteran players are aging and aging out, and then they probably should have moved on. No, we should have moved on for some of them by now and be ready to move on from the rest of them by next year. Don't know if that's going to happen or not. We'll see. But some of the guys like Willie Gay, we thought we were bringing in to replace those guys and make it a little easier to get rid of them. Going, sorry, man, that's the guy now. Not working out during this stretch like I was hoping. Like we're seeing Bresee step up, like Miller made some plays today. Go through the list. Willie Gay, no. Howden, not so much. Think McKinstry and Taylor holding their own right now. So yeah, I think we thought we had something there with those two. I think it's coming. Um, Offensive line is this. Um, and we just inconsistency, especially the way they played so awful today. I just don't know what we have going up there or not from game to game. I don't think our team knows. Um, Kendre Miller, again, another one. He's got to stay healthy, but it looks like if he stays healthy, you got something there with him. Some of these young receivers have flashed. Kevin Austin, prior to this game, he really wasn't a whole lot in this game, but he's still got 3 chances to turn enough heads to make sure he's in the options of next year. So I expected to see more. I feel like I'm not seeing enough. I think that's part, and I think I was expecting to see a lot of that today. Now that I'm even thinking about this, those young guys really making an impact in this game today, and not so much, and quite a few of them at times just got their asses handed to them on the field today, and it's like I think that's the truly depressing part in all this. Going, damn it. Uh he's always on his game. Yeah, and that was, I mean, that's Moreau. Moreau is just like I said, he's your average NFL tight end. I mean, it's just, is he super special? Ever going to be awesome? Make Pro Bowl, the Hall of Fame? Hell no. But he's a solid enough guy, and believe me, if we'd move on from him, there's teams out there that would jump all over him. Is he ever going to make a ton of money in this league? No. He's never going to be Kelsey or do any of that, but he's just one of those solid guys that you want to have guys like him on your roster. What you do want to do is develop the younger guys that can be the playmakers if you need those, like Hoker, who we finally saw today on a catch. The 10, I think he moved the chains on that one. And then later on, he was, not that I think this is necessarily his fault, but he was one of the guys, along with Moreau, getting blown up on the attempted double team of Brian Burns. And I'm like, God, man, when Burns saw that, he just had to have been licking his chops going, oh my God, they're going to try to block me with 2 tight ends. Why not block me with a cornerback and a punter while you're at it? Yeah, pretty much. And we do that a lot too much to even warrant a mediocre sometimes. I think that's how you become a flawed to bad team in a hurry. We were a bad team today. Yeah. So felt bad, but that wasn't on him. And he shouldn't have been on the field. If our awesome leadership would have looked over the bench and saw Jimmy Graham and had him on the field, different story. So I don't fault him for that. Sorry. Plus, I was at that game. Jacksonville kicked our ass and should have beat us by about 14-21 that night. So even being in that position was just bonus line up. Yep. Jack speaks truth. Yeah. And again, that's the whole theme of the show tonight. It's like, yeah, it's disheartening. And shows a lot what you may, look, you know, are they who we thought they are? Are they not? I don't know. So I do know we looked worse the 7 games prior to Rizzi being hired. I don't know if we looked this bad or not in those games. I don't. Um, but everything's relative because Rams at home got into a slugfest with 10-2 Buffalo today and had to hold on to win that one. But last week at home we kind of held that game down and kept it a dirty game, so to speak. Didn't pull it out, but that's a game that if you get the version of the Rams you saw today, yeah, we're getting drugged, what, 42-6, Denver type game in the dome, like that Thursday night game. So keep that from happening. You're doing something right somewhere. I think the real point is you got to keep figuring out what you're doing right and keep doing it. And a lot of what we did wrong today is, like I said in the opening, it's bad coaching decisions. It had to have been something totally screwed up going on when preparation or whatever for this offensive line to play that bad against that defensive interior. And then just some of the dumb decisions and plays we made or didn't make on the field, missed opportunities. Talked about the chances of all the picks we could have had in that game, and wind up with only one that got basically thrown into Mario's chest. We wound up with 3 of those picks. If we do a couple of stupid less things like not, punting a few times when we had the chance to play field position while they couldn't move the ball and Lott couldn't complete a pass, and all the stuff we were talking about early in the show. Is this a 28-6 win for us, or who knows? What I do know is you do all the stupid shit we did today, you need a Bresee field goal to win the game for you. Yeah, well, at least if we were consistently bad, we'd know, but consistently inconsistent, and so you get. I mean, I don't remember the last time we really played good football for 4 quarters. Dallas game, maybe, probably. But we had stretches in there where we could play good football for a couple of quarters. Even the Tampa Bay blowout at home, we were awful in the first and we were awful in the fourth. Played pretty good in the second and the third, and you were in a tight game going into the fourth. Kind of the opposite effect in Cleveland, where you were probably mediocre for 3 quarters. In a 14-14 game in the fourth quarter, you just kind of, put it all together and did some good things and ran them out the building. It's just his team is so Jekyll and Hyde, it's not even funny. I hope so, but and O'Connell got hurt today, so I think they're down to Desmond Ridder. So we mirror that team so much right now. It's kind of scary, but I don't know what went on with Bowers today, because I saw Mayer look like he grabbed some stats for the Raiders. So I don't know if Bowers just got shut down or if he left the game or what went on there. But no, actually, that's what would scare me the most about them is got a couple decent running backs floating around on that team that I think Madison's hurt, and they've had to go to one of their rookies too to add him to the mix. But I just feel like the way we can struggle with tight ends, Bowers and Mayer both play hell. They both might go for 100. Even today, I think that was another thing that Locke finally figured out, and that was mostly to Bellinger right over the middle. Of course, a lot of that was kind of we were playing soft and giving him the checkdowns, but I found Bellinger a couple of times. But we were playing soft. Bellinger was wide open on most of those plays. Do that to tight end like Bowers, he's going to hurt you really bad. I'd like to see Taylor get back to that nickel slot he was playing last year, but we don't have anybody else to man the outside right now. And see, that's another one I would say in the young category. I was hoping they'd give Rico Payton, who's playing very well on special teams, and he left today. I saw on Twitter during one of the timeouts, he was in the injury, but I don't know if he came back or not. I don't remember if they said, and I don't know if I remember seeing him after that point, but I think he did. I think he was on the field late in the game. But I'd like to see Peyton, Rico, get some shot at outside corner and just see, What do we have there? Look, and I still think they're talking about the slim 1% chance. The metrics say the Saints still have in the playoffs. You got to run the table, and then I think you still need some help elsewhere. Going, look, I think it may be time. Even if Carr's hand's okay and he can play next week, which it doesn't look like it will be. And we had this conversation on Thursday. Said it may be getting time to start figuring out getting some looks at the backup quarterbacks. Maybe time to let's go ahead and put Rico Payton on the outside, see what he can do, or letting Amadi play more on the outside and let Taylor move back on the inside, or try Taylor at safety because that's getting to be a problem for us. And I don't know if they can go find one, but they're going to need one. I had hopes Howden would put it together, and I think he's solid enough as a tackler, but he's not really a playmaker. We don't really have one back there anymore. Honey Badger is Honey Badger. And I mean, I just don't know how much he's got left in the tank at this point. And this year he's largely had a problem playing 4 quarters of a game. Keeps getting dinged up and nicked up, and sign of age and been in the league 9-10 years. That'll all catch up to you at some point. I think we're very vulnerable in the back end, despite the fact we could still be pretty good at corner next year, that we might just be very bad at safety unless we can figure something out there. Add that to the list of offensive linemen, defensive linemen, potentially a quarterback and whatever else. But this game, I said it earlier. I said I think this game just feels like it exposes our roster a little more, and it's in worse shape than we were thinking. Who for us? I'd like to see Rattler, honestly, give him one more shot, but I don't know. But I would like to see Haener get a start. Honestly, I want to get him a full workup with the, running the offense and see what he can do. So, because again, like I said, I'm not hanging on to that thread of 1% we're going to make the playoffs. And if nothing else, some of these guys just need to get them on the field in an NFL game, a live, real NFL game. And if nothing else, just to experience what it's like and not just preseason games or whatever else they've done. So, I think he can play anywhere back there. I think just the key to him is you got to let him play, in the sense of they've moved him around a lot during the, and I think that because like when he went back out to the outside this year, it was a real struggle for him for a couple of games. It seems like he's kind of gotten back in the flow. It was a hell of a play he made on Neighbors today. The breakup that I believe it was Neighbors up the sideline. When again, Locke, another duck, he floats up there. Neighbors is going to bail him out to make a great catch on the sideline. And Taylor stayed with him and rips the ball out on the ground. And this close away from that being a pick, that might be another one we add to the list, Northern, because the ball was kind of rolling around off of Taylor for a second before he hit the ground. It's like he grabs that thing. It would have been an interception. So just another one like that close that we didn't come up with in that one. Yeah, well, and that's the basis on what we're supposed to be doing on offense is running the ball, and we can at times, and we were doing okay with it in the first half, and it was just like all of a sudden, and relatively well in the first half. It wasn't a great exhibition of running the ball because they were breaking through on some of them to get some of those tackle behind the lines, but we were picking up some nice plays. In addition to that, and kind of covering it. The second half, it just like fell apart, and like, and this is where I start losing faith in Kubiak. Like he had zero answer to fix that. Like, oh man, got to come up with something. We can be. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, I think they're probably going to be the worst team anybody plays this year. I know it's debatable, but now I'm trying to think who's down there with them with 2 wins. There's a couple other ones. Carolina would be if we wouldn't have pissed that game away when we went to Charlotte. The game that ultimately got DA fired. But and the thing is, you look at the Giants, like we were talking about the other day when we just kind of did the breakdown on them. It's not like they don't have some good pieces floating around here or there, but I don't particularly think they got a great offensive line. And they got no quarterback play whatsoever. And somebody pointed out in the chat, and they talked about this a little bit today, and they're, deciding to go with Daniel Jones and letting Saquon walk. Probably like to have a do-over on that. But where it's almost like the positions on the team where they're bad, like quarterback, they're awful. And some other spots they're pretty good. They're edge rushers, stuff like that. Like they got one wide receiver who's really good, Malik Neighbors, and yeah, this is another thing today too. When Locke did hit a stretch where he made a couple good passes and nobody could catch the freaking ball to him, and I don't think Neighbors was bothered with that hip injury that he picked up during the week. I don't even think he was on the field for that stretch when that happened. But I remember Wandale Robinson dropped one that had potential to be a pretty decent play. A couple of others, Tyrone Tracy, I believe, dropped one. Like, dude, guy sucks. You can't be dropping passes when he actually puts one on you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, the disappearance of Kendre when he was showing at least the ability to kind of move a pile, as well as a couple times where he just managed to find space when they were penetrating and pick up yardage. Why we went away from him for such a stretch. And maybe they had him on some type of snap count limit or something, and he had reached most of that on those couple of drives where he was playing really well and moving the ball. But and I don't know what you call, like, yeah, probably some play calling, but it was just really watching what was going on in that defensive line our offensive line. Just the way guys were getting through gaps, like untouched, like they were running right between, like McCoy and Patrick when they would start moving like on an outside zone, and all of a sudden there's a little space, and McFadden comes shooting in there, or the D tackle was moving sideways and kind of like got around him and got in the backfield. I'm going, somebody just like get a hand on him, do something, slow him down slightly, anything. And it was like all these clean looks they were getting in there. And I'm like, God, it makes no sense. How in the hell is that happening? And why isn't anybody doing something to fix it? I think that's really the part that's purely head scratching. What, when their winning record at the time we beat them was Atlanta, we started their slide that they're on now. Just off the top of my head. Bummer, but saw that one kind of coming. Yeah, not always. But we can't it's like our defense can't multitask. We can't defend multiple spots. So if we really want to defend the middle, odds are we've got some type of one-on-one on the outside that teams will try to take advantage of. The case of, in fact, we had one where it was the old Tampa 2, and we rode Davis rode, I can't remember which one of their players, all the way into the end zone and broke up a pass with Harris sitting behind him. Well, that leaves the underneath open right under it, right? Or you had another play where they actually showed, and it was a hell of a job by Davis basically having almost defend two guys sitting back in the zone where he was running one way, realized the cross was coming, spun around, and went back to the middle to cover the cross. Like, it'd be nice if we had enough athletic and heady enough guys that, one guy wasn't actually covering multiple spots through across in the middle, but it seems like we do. I think part of that is lack of talent in some key positions that we're trying to hide. I think part of it is just a lot of the guys that we're trying to rely on to do this kind of thing is they're just not fast enough or athletic enough or moving sideline enough that the reason why it's open is they just can't get there fast enough. And that's a problem. Yeah, I want to see what he got. You know, he showed a penchant for, I understand it was preseason, but still, he just showed a penchant for a guy that can go find the ball and figure stuff out back there. And, so you hope that would translate into stepping it up to making big plays on the field, on Sundays. And at times that's we can give up the big plays. We just can't seem to find them. Even in the case of like today, a couple times when they were almost handed it to us and we still couldn't make it. Need to find a couple of those guys out there. I was wondering when somebody would do Mr. Moore. I don't know who you're talking about, but whoever it is probably pretty safe until at least the Raiders game of that not happening. And I think Carr shut himself down today. But then again, they kept trying to roll him out last year with, basically getting run over by a truck in the middle of the street. They would still try to make sure he was out there on Sunday last year. So, but if it's a broken hand, even though it isn't his throwing it, don't see how you can expect him to step out on the field for the remainder of the season. So I gotta assume we're going to see the two young guys play out the next. What do we have left? 4 games? Yeah, 4 games. Hey, Big V. Yeah, it is. That's a lot of what the conversation's been. And I I could have almost stomached like the first quarter just being what it was, going, okay, they're at home. They're, technically we're not a very good team either. Although Jack would disagree with me and say, no, we're a bad team. But even if we're a bad team, we're still a better bad team than they are. So maybe you kind of get that dogfight in the first quarter. Geez, at some point you'd think you'd take over. And this just kind of goes back to the opening where I'm griping about why we didn't appear to be ready to play for the most part. Why we were making some of the overly aggressive decisions that we were making that would basically resulted in the Giants spending the whole first half in plus field position, and we were backed up for most of it, which again, going through the numbers, when you gain more yards than they do, when you average more yards per play, your time of possession is higher, but they're only having to navigate half the field and you're having to navigate all of it. That's how you get a 7-3 instead of an ability to score a lot more points in the first half, put it away and make it a different ball game. So it's like we opened the door to let him hang around. And then they finally was like, holy crap, in the fourth quarter, holy crap, we got a chance to win this, and kind of the way the announcers were talking, because I really haven't watched the Giants play all year, but kind of sounds like that typically, but their fourth quarter, they were doing what we were doing during that 7-game losing streak and just like, all right, we're done. We're just waiting for the clock to hit 0 so we can get out of here. I think dogs is just cats are easier. I mean, look at that. That's basically what they do all day. Yeah, I don't know if any of them are gonna. going to particularly score well at various times. But, again, were they really healthy? Now, in his case, I hope he was, because he was in concussion protocol while he was missing so much practice. But I mean, I had the thought during the game going, are these guys supposed to be healthy and ready to go? Are they really? Or because again, if you're at this point in the season and you're putting guys out there at 50%, believe me, that would explain a lot. If Patrick and McCoy were out there at 50% and you were basically playing with, a diminished interior where they kept causing so much havoc. I hope not, but could be part of the issue there. But Ruiz, yeah, that they just I don't get it. I don't get that. I don't. Yeah. Yeah. I can almost see in a weird way because look, Tyrone Tracy is nothing to sneeze at. Neither is Malik Neighbors, and I can almost see where one of those two guys, one of the two rookies, would have the ability to make some insane play, like Bresee jumping over the whole offensive line to block a field goal to win the game. But one of those two guys putting up that big play, we have a penchant of giving up, and all of a sudden they're back in the game because of that. It still pissed me off, and I'd still hate it, but that I could understand. But how we just ho-hummed around like this was preseason week 1, and we were playing all the guys that were eventually going to get cut anyway. At times, that's what this game looked like, and it just mind-boggling stuff. Um, I'm still not an Anzalone fan. Yeah, I know he's starting middle linebacker for Detroit, and now Braun and Hendrickson, different category. Braun, we just never tried to use him anything other than that. I Sam, sometimes edge rusher role thing that we had Ellis after Braun. We had Ellis in it. And they did okay, but or no, Braun was after Ellis. Yeah, so we let Ellis walk out. He's been starting at Atlanta linebacker. So and I think their reasoning was, well, we had DeMario and Pete Werner. And Pete had the good rookie year. Pete's be careful how to say this because he's not a bad linebacker. He's not an exceptionally great one either. But when you look at especially Braun, because Braun is, or Braun, actually, I don't think it's Braun, but he is, in fact, he had another sack today. He can rush the passer. He can play in coverage. He can tackle. He can play sideline to sideline. In retrospect, Werner is a great tackle guy. He's very good. I've said this, going downhill and playing the run. If you, in fact, today somebody missed the tackle, but that whoever it was slowed the receiver down enough that Werner was able to clean the play up, and I believe that was on third down and stopped him short. But more and more, the NFL is getting to be, if all your linebackers are really like he is, good run, good tackle guys, good run stuffers, and very effective moving forward, they tend to be first and second down linebackers, and you don't have them on the field on third down. Just saying, there's a reason. So it doesn't add up. Hendrickson, that's still the idiocy in the front office going, we got to keep Davenport to let Hendrickson walk. Hendrickson would help a lot. So would Ball. It's possible. Well, Whoa. Sorry about that. I would say this. I was okay. Even on that last drive till they converted on that fourth down on that seemed almost like Locke winged another pass out there somewhere and found somebody type thing. And then we started getting down and got in this field goal range. That's when I got worried in that last minute or so, going, "Ah, crap! They're going to tie the game up at 14." And then, like we said earlier, couldn't figure out how in the hell we were going to win this game in overtime, barring just some miraculously big play. And we got the big play on the actual field goal to took care of that, and we didn't have to worry about it. But no, I was getting nervous. At the 4 minute mark, I still felt like no, they can't get the ball down the field and win this game. We'll be fine, or tie the game, much less win it. But all of a sudden, boom, there they were. I'm like, shit. Thank you, Bryan Bresee. We can get rid of Carr. There's no, we can't. It's just you can't. Well, you can cut him post June 1st, but you only save $1 million off the cap, so that projected 62 million over just becomes 61 million. You got to still find the rest of the money. His contract's the one that can give you that, the easiest route, if you can get him to take a pay cut. Now, if you can find somebody to take him, you could trade him, and that actually prior to June 1st, and that's not as bad. That will free up some money. But this isn't your fantasy waiver wire where you can drop him with no consequence. There's the dumbass contract that he was given, and then the fact that we had to rework it last year to get under the salary cap is just kind of put it in a position where he's kind of one of the big keys to this whole thing on how you're going to get it to work. Or the other thing you're going to hope for is miraculously the NFL gets dumped on a bunch of revenue over between now and the end of the season, where instead of the salary cap being 276 million, it goes to 296 million, in which case, no sweat. Then we've got plenty enough room to start not having to worry about the consequences of dead money. Well, if they ever play against us, because I was talking about the middle, we were leaving open on defense. So our tight ends don't normally play against our defense, but yeah, I guess if they do, whatever. The TBLs were insanely high. I think they had as many tackle for losses as we had passes defended. I think that was like the two major stats of futility that kept showing up that kind of balanced the game out some. Yeah, and he used to have that problem prior to this year. That it's kind of, but again, did you, it's like suddenly appeared this game though. It's like it's not like previous seasons where that used to happen a lot when they were trying to use him to overpower defensive linemen. He couldn't, and would get pushed back. But this is, you know, it's like the regression just like came out of nowhere, especially against the level of competition they were playing against. There's a lot of screaming at the TV. Oddly enough, this game there wasn't a whole lot after the first half, and that was mostly the two big screams was why did we go for the long field goal instead of punting them and pinning them back, as discussed prior to, and why the hell are you going for it on 4th and 3 from basically midfield and letting Jamal Williams try to pick up the 3 yards? I don't know. Those are the only two I really kind of yelled. There was some huffing and puffing at other times in the game, but those were the two that really got me. Ah, there you go. They're all behind us right now. I know that. And who do we have? We've got tiebreakers on Cleveland and the Giants. Well, in general, the NFL, even quote unquote good teams play bad football nowadays. It's not an uncommon occurrence. Boggles my mind. Kansas City keeps winning. Yeah, you just you it's you got to fix the, and I think for the most part, Rizzy is at least on the field. You're kind of getting that culture improvement, change, restructure, whatever it is. I think I think you got some guys that are actually have a little buy-in now. I'm not so sure they had some a couple weeks ago, but um, you you don't want to plant the seed of losing it again. I mean, enough of that was done over that 7 game stretch. You just losing is a disease. Watch The Natural. They explain it real well, but you just don't want to go down that path. We'll say that again, tanking is done by the front office and the powers that be. So you start telling your doctors, "Hey, I don't think they check that guy out. I don't think he should be medically cleared if they're willing to do it." But or start cutting some guys. Yeah, and the thing is, though, that's look to have that conversation of everything that has to go on to turn the organization around and fix a lot of those problems. We could tank out the rest of the season, miraculously wind up with the first pick overall, but considering how our draft philosophy or whatever it is, some of the players that we've taken over, other players available that you sometimes it's a no-brainer. You're like, what are we doing? And at other times it's like, how'd you not know about that guy? You know, well, we had him higher on our draft board for whatever reason. Um, y- like to me, it's almost like where you pick right now for the Saints is irrelevant until they can prove they can actually do something with that pick, and you can develop the pick once you get him in the building. It's very very frustrating. Look, even in Brazil, look, we've been pumping him up. Unbelievable play today. His pressure that he can get to. He could one of the few guys we got that can get the pressure and actually get the quarterback on the ground and pick up a sack, it seems. Um, but as we talked about, just no improvement in the running game yet. Going, man, got to get better in the running game. I'm almost out. I can tell you that right now. I'm like, which tells me it's been about an hour, and I'm looking up at the time, going, it's been a little bit over. Nope. They'll probably just be taken off the site. Actually, yeah, keeps winning. I don't like talk about a team now. At times they can play well, but at times they look as bad as anybody in a weird sort of way. I think the thing that keeps bailing now is their defense are really, really good, and referees on occasion. I still don't know if I believe that. They keep saying it like it's true, but I'm like, I just don't know if I believe that or not. There's nothing to negotiate there. And actually, they have a taste of long sleeve. So it actually is 12%, but that's the best we're going to do on that. So, all right. I mean, it is getting to be about time to wrap this up. Speaking of Kansas City, I don't know what's going on in that game right now. Might actually be able to get a chance to go watch the end of it. Um, and kind of to sum it up, I think everybody's just kind of in general agreement that this game was disappointing on so many levels, despite an exciting. No, exciting's the wrong word. I don't even know what the right word is. Basically, you get one big play at the end, one incredible play by Bresee, going, that should lift my spirits up. But it's like the common seems like theme here between us all is like it doesn't. In fact, it feels worse because this, you know, Jack's not wrong. It's like this is making us. We're a bad football team. You just can't keep stepping away from it and not coming back to that conclusion. Going, how did you get here? Well, you made a bunch of bad plays. You made a bunch of bad decisions. You couldn't have had a good week during practice. I just don't see how that could have happened and see him come out and play like they played today. All the signs of a bad football team. So something needs to be done. And not necessarily because I think we're going to go on a 4-game winning streak. In fact, and 3 out of these last 4 are going to be really, really brutal. Um, but you got to play him. You got to play him to try to win it. But I want to see improvement, and I think it's to the point now we really need to see the young guys play more. It would not hurt my feelings, all things being equal, if they're both healthy. Kendra Miller touches the ball more than Alvin Kamara over the next 4 games. Yeah. Would not hurt my feelings if we tried to center MVS in the um in the passing game a lot like if he wasn't Olave and just see what's there. On and on down the line. We talked about it. Letting Rico Payton play more. Um, looking at some of these guys on the practice squad down there. I'd actually go and look to see who we've got available down there anyway. Getting them up and actually getting snaps in their position a reasonable amount over the next 4 weeks. I don't think it would hurt. I definitely, again, Carr, broken hand this one. Don't think you're going to see him against Washington. Who knows? But it's Hainer and Rattler show for 4 games. Let's see it. We saw Rattler for 3. Let's go ahead and give Hainer a couple. Or give Rattler the rest of the year. I mean, I don't really care, but I think it's time to start getting those looks and getting the head start. We've been saying this for a while, but as it drags out the season, and drags was the word I used, specifically, but as this drags out, that's kind of the things we're going to need to see. We need to get them on the field. We need to see what we have. How far are we starting over from when the 2025 season opens? Nope. I will be at my sister's house at our family New Year's Eve party. So negative. Um, yeah, I know he's your guy, and Rizzy's been talking him up a lot after some of the post practice interviews about trying to get Sauber on the field, trying him out. He was a linebacker, safety in college. I want to say the other day, I thought they said they were trying to work him more at safety. So you might see that come to fruition. I don't know, but everything he's supposed to have the ability to do as far as playmaking wise and all, you know, let him get some snaps and see what we got other than special team snaps. I know he's been called up and played there a couple times. But yeah, I think it's time for the looky-loo at some of these guys, and I forgot completely we had him on the roster until you just said that, but going, yeah, Rizzy's been talking about him a little bit. No, I think he's still on the practice squad. We called him the call-ups. I think we're done with that. What is it, 3? That you can bring him up. I think we're done with that on him, but I think he's still there. I'd almost take it at this point if we had a bunch of guys running around, even if they made mistakes. I feel like if they were athletic and fast, we could maybe get away with it. It's, I think that's, worth mentioning that it compounds our problems on defense because in the spots where we are older and unathletic and not quite as fast and explosive as we used to be, when they do make a mistake, it's detrimental. There's like almost no way they can recover. So you almost have to ask them to play perfect football just to keep you in the game, if that makes sense. It's very counterproductive on many levels, but yet here we are. And I'm gonna still go with, look, Chase Young today, they said his personal best record of 10 pressures. I don't even know if he had a tackle in the game. I know he came close yet again a couple of times to get to the quarterback, still can't grab and put him on the ground. Willie Gay just has disappeared. These young guys we're talking about who are athletic, Peyton, Stalbert. I think it's time. I think we've got to see it. So I don't know where you put him. Can he punt? I mean, I don't know. But yes, now I'm officially out of order. So probably a pretty good time to call this one. So look, a win's a win. I mean, at least I think, to close it out, I think I can honestly say if we'd have lost this game, then I'd been really pissed because I'd be walking around going, it's the freaking Giants. Seriously? We lost to the freaking Giants. So at least I avoided that. But it's more of the sense of we almost lost to the freaking Giants. What's going on here? We'll talk about it a little more in a week. Definitely Thursday when we do the next live show. So if you're first time here, please go ahead, like, share, subscribe, give me the thumbs up. Make sure you hit the notification. We will be live Thursday. We'll be live next Sunday. And I'll have a video or two dropping during the week. So kind of looking at the coaches, I guess. But there's seems to be a lot of stuff flying around there right now that just doesn't just doesn't, I don't want to say it doesn't jive, but it doesn't really make sense because I'm seeing stuff just real quick. Ben Johnson this, Ben Johnson that, and this guy and that. So it just kind of makes me curious where we're sitting in all this. And that's probably discussion we're definitely going to have during the week on one of the videos, or maybe just wait and have it on Thursday's live show about the rumor mill going on around there about some of these coaches and where the Saints supposedly fit into all that. So till I see you next time, I'm Tim. Peace out and who dat.